So, what are the red flags? What should someone look out for when dealing with DNA evidence? It's something that I think members of the public would benefit from understanding, because you may sit on a jury one day, and it's the public that holds prosecutors and judges accountable. And so the better the public's understanding of the science, the more equipped the public is to hold these professionals accountable, right?
You asked, what are some of the red flags that you might look for? The Julian Washington case raised pretty much every red flag there is to raise. And yet, I wonder if there's anything that would have really jumped out at somebody who wasn't looking for red flags as being a problem. Here's one. You tell me. The laboratory came up with different statistics, different statistical weights for the test result for different individuals. There should only be one statistic, an evidence sample. It shouldn't matter who the suspect is. There should just be one statistic that's generated, and yet the laboratory reported multiple statistics for a single evidence sample. That can't ever be justified.
So that is a plug for 1, reading the judgment for yourself. 2, always approaching expert evidence with a critical mind, looking for red flags. 3, taking the time to double check the expert's work, because if experts aren't routinely challenged, if they don't know that people are watching, that people are assessing them, that people are listening, then they may not be doing their best work.
It's certainly been my experience that the less scrutiny that a testing laboratory has had, or the less scrutiny of DNA testing or any test, I suppose, in a given jurisdiction, the more likely it is that you'll find some problems when people do start to apply scrutiny. That was certainly the case in Julian Washington's case in Bermuda, where the DNA test results had not apparently been critically reviewed, hadn't been evaluated by the defense at all for many years. And it's in those circumstances that testing laboratories and I suppose government experts in general start to be a little bit fast and loose and try to deliver to the prosecutors and to the juries and judges what it is that they want to hear. And those are confident, definitive answers to questions where confidence and definitiveness may not be all that justified. So I think I knew coming into looking at a testing from Bermuda that there was a good chance we were going to find some issues there, just because I knew that there hadn't been a lot of work that had been done by the defense bar in challenging DNA evidence in that particular jurisdiction.
Dr. Krane consistently talks about the science of DNA and how people handle and interpret DNA results. In his words, it's a people problem, not a science problem. That principle, that idea, that distinction between what the science is capable of doing and how people can manipulate or misunderstand or misinterpret the science is something that you have to keep in mind whenever you are dealing with or thinking about expert evidence on a subject.
Another thing that might help is just an appreciation that there are really two distinctly different questions that jurors and judges are interested in getting answers to when it comes to DNA evidence. One of those questions is whose DNA are we looking at? And the other question is sort of a combination of how and when did the DNA get there? Going back to that first point, the DNA tests we have today, when applied correctly, are extremely good at helping us understand whose DNA is with a sample, but they have absolutely no ability to tell us about how or when. And there's a real problem of people having the confidence in the answer to that first question of who spill over into some sort of understanding of, or confidence in an answer to the how or when. That's entirely inappropriate. They're completely different questions from a DNA testing perspective, and the methodology really cannot give us any insights in terms of the how or when. And yet I understand, I mean, it's entirely reasonable to understand that that's really what jurors and judges want to know ultimately.